Hello, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net, and in this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips for a massive topspin forehand. Now, I've got the Topspin Pro, incredible product. My affiliate link is in the description below. You got to get this thing. This is awesome for on-court and at-home practice. So the first tip is a high, low, high swing path. So when you take your racket back, if you're struggling with the amount of topspin, if you want to make sure you get more topspin, meaning a tighter spin and higher RPM, you can't take your racket down low. You're going to have to turn high because we want to go high, low, high. And as we hit, we're going up again, right? Topspin is a vertical spin. We got to swing up in order to get that ball to spin down. The ball goes the opposite direction you swing, right? So with its spin, so if I swing up, the ball's going to spin down. So I have to make sure that my racket is higher than head level, then drops below the ball, and then back higher than head level again. I see so many players trying to hit topspin, and they're swinging flat into the back of the ball. You can hit topspin that way, but it'll never go over the net because you got to tilt the strings down severely at contact, and the ball just goes into the net. So high, low, high. Film yourself and make sure that that is the swing path you are using. The second tip is to make sure that when you drop below the ball, that you close your racket face. Let me show you this from the back. Most players I see who struggle with the amount of topspin they put on the ball and they hit very flat, their racket is on edge in the back. Now, there's always someone in the comments who responds, well, Agassi and Di Minore, I watch these players, and Tsitsipas, they're not closing their racket face a ton. You're right. They're also some of the best players of all time. You, as somebody watching this video, are probably not Andre Agassi at the moment. So you need a little extra help. No different than a little kid using training wheels to get to the Tour de France someday, right? You got to start somewhere. And closing the racket face and tilting the strings down makes an enormous difference in your ability to put topspin on the ball. Here's the reason why. Because when your strings are tilted down prior to contact and you're below contact, it allows you to swing severely up and still have your strings face forward. See, if your racket is straight up and down like this, if your racket is straight up and down in the back, when you go high, low, high, when your racket's straight up and down, it'll end up being open when you hit the ball, and then the ball sails out. That's why beginners hit the ball over the fence all the time, because their racket is straight up and down in the back, then they swing to the ball and now the racket's open. Now you can try to turn it just in time to get the strings to face forward perfectly and timing it just right, but the chances of doing that are really low. And again, players who do that, they search on YouTube looking for videos like this one and how to fix it. So use your high, low, high swing, but at the bottom, make sure your strings are tilted down. The amount they tilt down will be based on your grip, but I just recommend with a very simple idea of closing the racket face around 45 degrees. Closing the racket face slanted diagonally about 45 degrees. That'll allow you to swing up as you're hitting the ball and put a ton of topspin on. The last tip is getting the racket to go from below your hand to above your hand. Right? I just had a lesson with a woman yesterday, and we worked on this idea. She was a pretty flat hitter, and she could hit topspin, but it was more of a driving topspin. And we worked on her ability to hit topspin lobs and to dip the ball cross-court for a cross-court pass in singles and doubles, is to dip the ball at someone's feet. So I want you to watch this. Notice my racket prior to hitting the ball is below my hand, and now my racket is above my hand. Now I'm not doing this just with a ton of wrist, right? So it takes a little while for me to move my racket from below my hand to above my hand. I'm not doing this where it's just a little, like I'm turning a doorknob. That's not the idea. I want you to have your racket go from below your hand to above your hand after you hit, rather than thinking that the racket has to stay to the side of your hand. When you watch Venus drive a forehand, when you watch Halep drive a forehand, those are really great ways of hitting a ball where the racket stays to the side of the hand. But if you're looking to increase topspin, if you're looking to spin a ball to someone's feet, hit a cross-court pass, let's say there's a serve and volleyer in doubles and you want to dip it to their feet, a topspin lob, then it's going to be vital that you practice having the racket go from below your hand to above your hand. It's a slight movement. Again, I'm not telling you to do this windshield wiper where your racket goes back down again. That's not what I want you to do. I still want you to finish high. just moving the racket from below the hand to above the hand rather than thinking that the racket has to stay to the side of your hand the entire time. If you start using the high-low, high swing, and then at the bottom of that low, high swing, at the bottom you tilt your strings down. And then as you come up, you focus on making sure the racket goes from below your hand to above your hand on its way up. There is no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.